Hello and welcome to the Run As Well podcast with me, Rick Pearson.
And me, Ben Hobson. And our guest this week, Michael Adeniran.
Yeah.
Michael, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
No worries.
Can we start with how you first got into running? Tell us your sort of origin story.
Cool. So the origin story, I started running probably around 2015. My neighbor was just like, Michael, I'm going for a run. I'm like, what's that? And it was just a small park near me. And I think that it was 2K inside.
Okay.
And I used to just go gym all the time. So I was just about getting bigger and pushing heavier weights. And then going for that first 2K run, I was destroyed. But, he kept pulling me out and I eventually took it upon myself to do it on my own. Yeah. And, that's the origin story.
That started, yeah.
How did at what point did the flip then come into like documenting it? When did you sort of suddenly realise that was something that you wanted to do and something that you then got into doing and like how it's progressed?
So my wife, used to run a blog, right. And it was about fitness and stuff like that. And she would always just be on the blog and doing stuff, going to events, and I was always like, I would like to get involved in some of that. And she was like, do something then, write a blog. And I was like, what can I write about? And she was like, you kind of like OCRs at the time. I was doing loads of obstacle course races. So I was like, okay, I'll start writing about that. So I made a blog, and that's kind of how it all picked up. And
I love it. You were writing a blog.
Yeah.
Early.
I can't even remember how to write anymore. But like back then you would type
That's
up.
How it was. Yeah.
It's just like, here's a blog. Here's how you do the events. And people kind of picked up a little bit then. Then social media came and took everything over.
Yeah. Is obstacle course racing still a passion of yours?
It is still a passion, 100%. I just haven't done it as much recently because for some reason the marathons just kind of take over.
Yeah.
So it's
also,
not done it.
Injury. I mean,
that as well. So if I'm in a training block and I get called to do an obstacle course race, I'm like, I've got to really think about whether it's a wise idea at that time.
Yeah. It had a real boom, didn't it? The OCR
Oh God,
stuff. Like it was real. Like I remember doing a couple of like Tough Mudders and stuff.
Yep.
And that was kind of like that gateway in, and then you realise after a while there are some mad ones out there.
Oh
yes.
God, yeah. Is it Toughest Mudder or something? Is that one?
So the longest one I've done is probably Europe's Toughest Mudder.
Okay.
So that was 8 hours when I did it, and I've done Spartan Ultra races as well, which probably take the same amount of time, and they're like 30 miles obstacles. Yeah, it's pretty
full on.
Yeah,
it's not 100%. A park run, is it? It's not the weekly park run.
It's not a wake up and go thing at all.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah.
Was that then, sort of in terms of just then pure like endurance running stuff? Did that really kind of set you on your way? Did you find that there was the training crossover with that time on feet effort when you converted to like ultras and stuff?
100%. So I think for me I was never running to run. I was running to get better at OCR.
Right.
So I don't know the point where I was like, okay, I'll do more running than the OCR thing. And I think that's probably when the community stuff started coming in.
Yeah.
I was going running with Adidas runners way back in the day.
Yeah.
I was just doing way more runs. And I think the obstacle course stuff did start to fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
But anytime someone's like, let's go for a race, I'm like, okay, no worries.
Yeah. Can still do it.
Yeah. Anytime. Monkey bars, climbing ropes, all of that, I can do it.
Were you surprised by any aspect of running? You said you sort of came in as a non-runner, you were in the gym. Were there any kind of like misconceptions maybe you had about running that actually you were like, actually this is totally different to what I thought it would be?
I think my biggest misconception is that I could just go and do longer runs without really training as much for it.
Yeah.
I think it was just came from my obstacle course racing thing where you'd do the smallest event, then you do the next one, then you do the next one, and there's kind of no break in between. You just get it done.
Yeah.
But when it came to running, I think I would be like, I'll go and do a half marathon today. And you'll do that, and you'll be like, that was the worst idea I've ever had. So I think back in the day, this is early London Marathon when I was watching it on the telly.
Yeah.
And I think I lived along the Thames barrier at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, I really want to go out and do a marathon. And my wife was like, that's a terrible idea. Like, you don't just do it out of nowhere. And luckily, I took her advice that time. But I think that was my biggest misconception, that you can just get out and do the longest runs out of nowhere. I think it's a bit silly.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah.
What was the first big challenge then that you took on? I mean, obviously you're like a pure running event. Forget the obstacle store stuff, but just that first race.
Yeah, I think my first ever half marathon was the Oxford half. This is going back, and I think when I signed up to that, I took the coach out there in the morning. So it already took me like 4 or 5 hours to get there in the first place. Tired, you get there and then, just do a half marathon out of nowhere. And this is before I knew about gels, didn't have a running watch, didn't know what a heart rate was. Like, it was just get out and try a half marathon. And I think that was kind of my big, wow, I'm actually kind of good at this, or I can enjoy it. Whether I was good at it or not is a different story. But I just enjoyed that a lot, and then just kept going forward.
What role does tech now play in your running? 'Cause I'm guessing it's not like you're taking gels on now. You've got a watch, got a heart rate monitor.
Yeah,
and you're filming.
And I'm filming. Yeah. Too much tech sometimes, but I guess it does help a lot. The watch. So I can post it on Strava and people know I'm doing it. Yeah. Generally the camera, because I'm always filming, just talking rubbish along the way. And then, it does play a big part of it now because I can't remember what it was like without it.
Sure. Yeah.
But I do feel like sometimes if you drop the tech, it can help. If if you get in a bit of a rut and you have too much focus on the tech, sometimes just go without and see what happens.
Yeah, I feel like a balance is important.
Yeah.
Do you take yourself off for just a normal run? Would you ditch it all? Do you or would you say, is there not a pressure, because that makes it sound like too full on, but like a reliance on capturing everything just because that's your job as well?
Generally there are times where I just leave the cameras at home and I don't film myself running, talking along the street where people are like, what's wrong with this guy? And sometimes I won't really care about the pace I'm doing and all that stuff. So there are times where I just be like, today's just a freedom run. Yeah, I guess that's what I called it. There you go. Where you just switch off from everything and just get on with the run.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Urban Challenger? Yeah, because that's the kind of the moniker that you're going by.
Yes.
How'd you come up with it?
So I thought back in the day I used to live in Brixton, South London, pretty urban area. Yeah. I like taking on challenges. There you go.
Put them together.
A plus B. Yeah. So that's me.
Running can take you anywhere, which is why your running watch needs to be able to keep up.
With the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra, the clue is in the name. From mountain races in technical terrain to grueling ultra marathons, its durable titanium construction can go with you to the brink and back again, with the ability to withstand temperatures from a frigid -20 all the way up to 55 degrees.
Of course, you don't need to be a marathoner to make the most of Samsung's most powerful smartwatch processor. However you run, the Galaxy Watch Ultra's insights are designed to help you optimize your performance and keep you hitting your next PB.
Discover more about the Samsung Galaxy Watch at samsung.com. When you first started documenting stuff, and I think continues to this day, yours is quite an unfiltered account of how things are going. There's quite a lot of glossy stuff out there where people might find it, watch it, and feel a bit like, oh man, this looks so polished, and I'm not sure. Whereas you're very your most recent one about London Marathon, I did all of this stuff wrong. I'm an idiot, to use the better language. But so yours is quite front facing, quite blunt. Have you always wanted to just present it like that?
I think so. I think before all the running stuff, I used to use Snapchat quite a bit. And it was just you filming what you're doing. And there was no real point to your video. It was just getting out. You're just talking about what you're doing. And I think when I started videoing my running, I always enjoyed the days where I was just talking real about what I'm doing. And I think that's the moniker that I've always kept going with, because there is a lot of polish out there and it removes the gritty realness of what's happening, and nothing's ever always good. And I think it's quite nice to just be like, today was a bad day, and I made all the mistakes in the world, even though I know I shouldn't have made them, because it just lets people understand we all made the mistakes, and it's natural. It's a natural part.
It's also very funny a lot of your stuff, I think, and I wonder if there's any part of you that wants to show that running doesn't have to be, because there can be maybe this perception of running that it's this very serious endeavour, whereas actually I think your content shows that it can be fun and kind of playful as well.
I think I'm generally a joker, or not, maybe a class clown sometimes, but I think if you ask my missus, she'll be like, he's just a clown. So it definitely, if I didn't do the funny side of it, it wouldn't be me.
Okay.
So I enjoy just going off riff, seeing what happens. And that's mostly how most of my content happens. I'm just like, okay, it's an idea, let's go. And whether it's funny or not, it's up to.
I think it is. I think it's very funny. Yeah.
And how do you balance the sort of long form, short form bit? How when you're editing and have an idea, do you always have to have that in your head of well, that's going on Insta or TikTok, and that's a YouTube, and then all that sort of stuff?
So the YouTube thing's really new, and me trying to film for YouTube and film for Insta it's just a bit of a brain boggle. But I think for me, it's just, I would just film, see what happens. And then when I'm cutting and editing together, it's wherever, if it looks good and I can put it onto Instagram and TikTok, usually I just share on them. I'll just do it. I think I have a background in digital animation and editing. So that process I've always found quite easy and nice, actually. I enjoy that. So yeah, just throw it out on the content and see what happens.
You've taken a step beyond and gone into ultra running as well.
Yes.
What was the appeal of that, and what's been your experience of running ultras?
The appeal. The main appeal is that I find ultras easier than marathons.
I kind of agree with you. I think I think that can be true. Yeah.
Because marathons are you just pressure on yourself, and this is the time I want to hit, and this. With ultras, it's just like I'm running and I'm eating a pizza whilst I'm running, and I think that anytime I've done an ultra, I've really, really enjoyed it. Not saying I haven't enjoyed any of my marathons, but most of them I just haven't, because I thought this is the time I'm getting today, and I run to that time, and they generally just don't go too well. So ultras is just really fun. You get out. There's no, the aim isn't there to get on a special time. You're just like, let's just go.
Yeah, it's more of an experience, isn't it? I think.
100%.
What are some of the ultras that you've done? Have you got kind of one that sort of stands out for you?
Yeah, so I think the one's called the Upton Ultra.
Okay.
So I think that was around 60k. I've done 2 Spartan Ultras, which were 30 miles each.
And that's with like lots of different
it's like
throwing and carrying.
100 obstacles each one. So they are brutal.
Yeah.
And then I've done a couple of virtual ultras as well.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Where you're just running around the area for ages.
Yeah. No medal at the end.
No medal.
But you've done it.
I know I've done
it.
How does running fit in then with the rest of the life? What's the sort of like the job and family and all that? How do you strike a balance?
By waking up very early.
Right.
So I'm an early bird anyway. I always have been. I'm usually up around 5:30. Have my breakfast, get the kids ready. Then as soon as they're off to school, I can usually get out and do my run. Just before I have to go to work. The wife, luckily, she married me after all the running stuff started, so she's accepted it now. Well, she accepted it back then. I don't know if it's now. She accepts it. But yeah, it's very much. I try and do it outside of kid time, wife time, family time, and the diary. You live by the diary. Diary's king. Yeah. If it's not in the diary, it's not happening. And I've made that mistake many a time.
You put a race in and then not put races in.
Oh, it's just something that we don't do anymore. I don't do it anymore. I make sure it's in the diary and we get on with it. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you run to music, or do you? Or is that difficult when you're kind of filming? I guess. But would you choose to run to music if you could?
Always music. I've tried podcasts in the past.
Like this. Terrible podcasts like this.
Podcasts, I feel like, for me, it's more relaxing to listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
If I'm running, I like the beat to take me with it. So I always run to music. Yeah.
What kind of music are you running to?
Drum and bass is a big one.
That's Ben's jam as well.
Good stuff. Drum and bass, hip hop. I'm a hip hop head from early, but I'm very eclectic, so I listen to everything. But yeah, drum and bass is usually.
Got that beat.
That's it.
The tempo's good. It's on point.
180 BPM, easy.
Yeah. I was more interested, like when you're producing the content. Do you have like an audience that you would love to see it, or do you just kind of like let it go and just whoever consumes it consumes it?
I think there's a few people that have just been following me for ages on Instagram mostly, and I do hope that they still see it because they're the ones that kind of were there when you began.
Yeah.
So I like that idea, but apart from that, it's just the everyday runner, not obviously elite people.
Yeah.
But I just want the everyday person to see it and be like, oh, this guy's kind of normal. Can I do it then? And that's always been my thing. I think that's why I really started the blog. It was about showing people that anyone can do it.
Yeah.
If you just give it a little go.
Yeah.
And just step out your comfort zone a bit and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that really comes across in your work. I think
then I'm winning. That's
exactly.
All that matters, yeah.
I know you're called the Urban Challenger online, but you do run off road as well, right?
Yeah.
So do you find trail running appealing? What's been your experience of that?
I really enjoy trail running. I think the obstacle course racing was all trails.
Of course, yeah.
So I think early on, I lived in Brixton, but I had to run on the roads because that's all that was there. But when I eventually moved out of London, it is trails. I've got trails of next to me.
Yeah.
Still very much a road runner though. I think that's just
the
urban. I'm holding on to that for dear life. Otherwise, the name means nothing.
You got to change it.
Yeah, the suburban challenge. I don't know if it has the same ring. But yeah, ultimately, I do really like trail running. It's a lot more relaxed.
Yeah. Have you found like the running community? Have you found it like very welcoming kind of space? Have you found like certain people that you kind of gravitated towards? How's it work?
I love the running community. I think it's very welcoming. Obviously, there's so many different sections of it now.
Yeah, sure.
And I think there's some people might look at a part of the community and be like, oh, I can't really get involved with that. But generally, I don't think that's the truth. There are loads of areas, loads of different groups. You can pick one of them and go, and you'll be very much welcomed.
Yeah.
And I think that is the greatest thing about the running community. And everyone started somewhere, and I think we all have that kind of thing where I remember when I couldn't do a 5K. So if I see someone that's in that same predicament and they feel that way, I'm like, come, let's do it and let's see how we go.
Yeah.
I think it's a very welcoming community.
Yeah, that's good. It's smaller and less talkative than the average running coach, but the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra might just be the training partner you've been searching for.
Its next generation dual frequency GPS technology means no signal blackouts even on the most off-grid trail, while its clear display remains easily readable even in bright sunlight, and the intuitive interface means you can quickly check your metrics without breaking stride.
With personalised training and recovery recommendations thanks to its AI-driven insights, it's with you every step of the way.
Discover more why the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra makes the perfect running companion at Samsung.com. You said at the beginning you used to be a gym guy. Do you still gym a lot?
I gym sometimes. I realized that when I used to go gym and I just kind of ran, there was no such thing as an injury.
Yeah, right. That's what I was wondering at. I was wondering how much, when the running went up and the gym went less, how many more injuries?
The ankles. I injure myself quite often. But I think now I'm a lot better because I do try and keep up with the strength at least 2 days a week.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself I must do.
Yeah.
So, but 100%. Keep the strength training all day.
That's always other guests we've had on when we've talked about gym and they used to go a lot.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, you build up a really good base. And the first bit of running that you do, you kind of nothing bad happens. And then you slowly get into it more and more. And then the strength, that base.
Yeah. All the time. Don't do it. Keep gymming, and then you can keep running healthier, I think
we're living through a running boom.
Yes.
I feel like we had a kind of runner's world issue about it. And we say we called it, but I think people knew about it maybe anyway. Do you get a sense of that actually running is having a real moment and more people are running and there's an excitement around running now?
Well, just look at the ballot for the London Marathon.
Yeah.
I think because I think we're seeing it more now with social media. We can see things a lot more than we used to. We definitely having loads of people like, I can do that. I'd love to do that. Which is awesome, and I think it's one of the best things about social media that we're getting more people involved in this thing that we all love. But it's definitely having a boom, and it's definitely rising. And the fact that 1 million+ people have entered that ballot is making it really, really hard for me to get into that.
Yeah, you got about 1% chance.
If that. Yeah. So, but we're definitely having a boom, I think.
Yeah, I feel like running's. I keep saying it, I'm making it less cool, and I say, but running's quite cool now.
Every time
I say it, it becomes less cool.
It does. So hopefully the boom will end soon because you've killed it.
Single-handedly killed the boom. No, but I think that it has. I think maybe it's a kind of merging of like fashion and running, and it feels like the whole world just feels a little bit cooler. I think.
Yeah, I think like people wear running clothes not even to run.
Exactly.
There's certain brands that definitely push that. And it is a thing where a lot of people have recently just got into it, and it is great. And I think the boom, will it end? I'm not too sure. Everything usually has a natural end.
Yeah.
But for now, it's riding its wave.
Yeah, I feel like running's so simple. You hope that enough people get into it and feel the way that we all feel about it as something that would be like just part of your everyday life.
Yeah, and I think that's what you should have it for. Eventually, we'll all put down the cameras and we'll just keep running because we enjoy running rather than having to film it. Yeah.
Can we talk about the London Marathon? What was your experience like?
Spoiler if anyone hasn't watched the vlog yet.
We can talk about it. Right. So this is the first race where I'd say I've put in the most dedication in terms of training.
Yeah.
I'm the fittest I've ever been.
Yeah.
Because I've pretty much PB'd everything else, which is awesome. So I went out on that day and I was like, no pressure. but there was a lot of pressure that I put on myself, to be honest. And it just did not work out. I was trying to carb load like LXG the day before, and it was just a bad decision. I've always said don't do anything new on race day or around race day. And I would just ate a lot the day before, and it just didn't.
How much are we talking here? Like,
I had like 600 grams of carbs.
Oh, right.
The day before.
And itself's quite an effort.
It was. I was there. I was just like, I haven't hit it
What does
yet.
that look like?
Too much. No, so I think for breakfast I had like a normal bagel, but I also had like cereal as well, and then lunchtime I had like what I'd call tea time, a big meal. So I had rice, chicken, more rice. Then tea time I had like loads of pasta, garlic bread. I was so full.
Yeah.
And plus I had my drink mixes.
Yeah.
Then I woke up, had more carbs, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then the race happened, and then it all went downhill.
And it was warm, wasn't it, as well? It was warm.
I could blame the warmth, but it wasn't really the warmth. I'm just happy that there were toilet stops every mile.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair play.
Well, you've got to experiment sometimes.
Yes. I think you've got to make the mistakes to understand their mistakes. And if I don't make the mistake firsthand, I can't talk about it, and I won't learn. So, I'm happy I will never do that again.
See what happens. Hopefully someone else won't.
Yeah. Hopefully someone listens to it and be like, don't do that. Don't make Michael's mistake.
What advice, Michael, might you have to someone who's listening to this, who's new to running, thinking about starting but doesn't really know like how to begin or wonders maybe it's not for them?
The thing I always say to people is just give it a go. It might not feel amazing the first time, but keep trying. I'm quite big on being persistent and continuous in your efforts, and I think eventually you'll be able to reap some of the rewards. It took me probably months of doing that same 2K loop before I was confident enough to go outside the park and end up doing 3K. Yeah. And I think I did that first 3K and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It's because I just kept trying. Yeah. So even if it doesn't feel great the first time, keep going.
Yeah, that's great.
And what about someone on the same note, if someone wants to run but also wants to get into documenting what they're doing, what would be the first thing that you'd advise?
Everything is content. So even if you think it's boring or no one's gonna watch it, you just don't know the same person that's in your position. Think of how many million people there are that are thinking, I might want to get into running. You in that position of, I've just got into running, I'm just trying it out, and videoing yourself. I think there's someone out there that will watch it and be like, I'm exactly the same right now, this could actually help. So definitely just record yourself. It's not nice, it's quite cringe at first, but eventually you kind of ignore everyone around you and you start talking.
Get used to it, yeah. Finally, what's next then? What's the next challenge for you coming up?
So I'm definitely doing an ultra in June.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's along the Thames path as well, or it goes from Greenwich all the way to maybe near Reading. I'm not too sure.
Oh, okay, yeah, long way.
Yeah, I don't really. It's 55K.
Okay.
I don't really think about the things I do. I just get on with them. And I think there's a half. I've done a couple of middle distance triathlons. Yeah. So I've got one of those coming up, and then I might have like a 24-hour event soon.
What is this? The toughest mudder?
Yeah, world's toughest mudder.
Right.
So I've wanted to do that since I started all of this stuff, and that might happen.
Okay.
Undecided.
Well, we wish you best of luck, and thank you very, very much for coming on the Run As Well podcast, talking about your running journey. Really fascinating. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. So that brings us to the end of this week's Run As Well podcast. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you again next week. There's nothing more frustrating than going all out to chase a new PB, only to discover your watch battery has died.
With its long-lasting battery, the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra promises not to put you through this pain.
Its impressive endurance allows it to keep track of your vitals, including heart rate, sleep quality and stress levels around the clock, and go one step further by turning this data into personalised recommendations to help you go the extra mile.
Find out more about the Samsung Galaxy Watch at samsung.com.